Hi, this is David at Highland Campervans and welcome to the Handover video for this WildAx Constellation 3. We will take you through some of the key functions and features of this vehicle to get you familiar for your first grand trip away. I recommend that you maybe download this video to your device or bookmark it for future reference. I hope you enjoy the video. So as you come through the sliding door into the habitation area, you'll see up to your left the HAB control device, which is this one just here. To power the system on, we press the power button. Turn the system on for you, and then you'll get an information display appear in a moment. So this will give you water status, battery status, time and date, external temperature and internal temperature, and to let you know that the vehicle is on hookup and batteries are charging just now. So turn the 12 volt on, press the 12 volt system. This will put the lights and the fridge system on for you. Next button here is the water pump. Now sometimes you'll hear the water pump sort of rumble. That's just to let you know it's priming. It's perfectly normal behavior. It will silence once it's pressured. Turn this back off again, like so. This is to turn an exterior awning light on and off. This will control the brightness of the display. This button here lets you go in and change settings like time, date, color of the display. This one is fresh water, so let you know there's 30% in the fresh water tank. And then the final button here is to access the battery status of the two batteries. So it lets you see the vehicle battery and the leisure battery statuses as well. So you just give those a tap to switch between, again, the display and the main display. And that is the HAB control panel. So on the other side of the sliding door, you're going to find the Truma heating control panel, which is this device just here. So to turn it on, we press the home button here. After a few moments, it will power on. Here we go. And then you've got a very simplified control. So you've got heater, water heater, connection to the iNet app, notifications for the system, switch off, and a setting control mode to go and change time, date, things like that as it were. So to put the heating on, we're going to press room climate. It's going to ask if we ventilated the van or heating it, so we want to heat the van. And then we can set a temperature just here with a plus and minus, like so. Hold it down to make it jump faster, like so. We're now going to select how we want the airflow to flow. If it's in fast mode, then you'll hear a lot of noise from the blowers as the system tries to get everything heated up as quickly as possible. Comfort mode it's a lot softer, so we're going to select comfort mode. And then we're going to select power source. So your vehicle operates on diesel or electricity. So we are currently on hookup. So we're going to turn the diesel off and we're going to select our hookup level. So you have electric 1 and electric 2, which is 900 watt or 1800 watt. In this case, we're selecting 900 watt. And we're going to go back to the main screen. So that's us now set. You'll notice there's a little symbol just up here in the corner, the little flame symbol. If I zoom in, you should see that just there. That lets us know that everything is working. So if we now go back to the master menu, you'll now notice there's a green line here with the temperature that we set. So that's now the heating system on. To turn that off, we just go in and we tap the little button on the side here. That now turns the heating off. So for the hot water, it's basically the same. We're going to turn the hot water on. We're going to select what mode we want, 40 degrees for dishes, 60 for the shower, or for a longer shower for 70 degrees. We're going to pick what mandatory mode. So in this case here, we're going to say that we're off-grid and we're now using the diesel system. Okay, so same again, little flame symbol lets you know the system is armed. And if we go back to the master menu level, we can now see that this just here is armed and the system is ready for water. Okay, if the system is a little bit cold, you may notice that this will say standby prime in, as it were. When it goes ready, it lets you know that the hot water system is ready for action. Okay, and to turn it off, it's exactly the same process, like so. Incidentally, on here, just to let you know that this little symbol in the corner here, the little plug symbol, lets you know you're on an electric hookup. Now, notifications, if there was any warning messages or any alert messages, they will appear under the notification section. Settings lets you go in and change general time and date. And you can go in and change the display devices, things like that, as it were, touchscreen calibration, things like that, as it were. Now, you can also control the device by an app. So this just lets you connect your smartphone. You will need to download the app to your smartphone first before going any further. To power the system off, it's the off button here. Now, this is an important piece of advice. Before switching off the HAB control panel, just over here, so you see that it's still on at the moment, you really should switch the Truma system off first. Now, this is to avoid any electrical interrupt messages that may happen when you turn the 12 volt system off. What can happen is you turn the 12 volt system off, the Truma system will then go looking for an electric source which it can no longer see, and it may throw an error message up at you. So to avoid that, switch this off first before switching that off. So how do we turn this off? Very simple. Press the power button here. We want it to go into turn off mode, not standby. Standby is if you set the system up and you don't want the display on anymore. We're going to turn the system off. This will now start powering down. And once you get the black screen like that there, we can now safely turn off our HAB control panel. And that will avoid any issues. And that is your hot water and heating system. So located right above the sliding door is some light switches just here to allow you to control lights in the van, where we have our tank heater system just here. So if it's going to be particularly cold in the evening and you're concerned about protecting the tank, we can turn our tank heater on like so. The little orange light lets us know that the tank heater is now engaged, and that will provide some frost protection for the tanks. I would also recommend that if you don't need the water supply, I would recommend that you just drain the water out of the boiler for extra protection. But if you are needing water in the morning and you just don't want to run the risk of the pipes freezing up, then definitely, obviously, you can turn the tank heater on here, as it were. So switch the heaters back off again, just switch the switch there, and that there is the tank heater. So moving on to the refrigerator, this is a really simple device to use. So to turn it on, we press the power button till the screen lights up, like so. Now be aware that the screen has a lock mode, so it can't accidentally be turned on or off. So to turn that off, to make adjustments, just hold your finger down, screen will flash, and now you can make adjustments. So this one here is to change the output of the fridge. I would normally recommend about 3 bars, see how you go from there. That's normally enough for most people. And then the other one here, just unlock it again. This will be the boost mode for the fridge as well. So how intense you want the freezer section to be. Freezer off or freezer low, freezer high, freezer really high, as it were. And the final button here is night mode. So to give that a tap, that'll turn it into night mode. That puts the fridge into a quiet cycle, if you like. So if you're sleeping in the van, hopefully the fridge won't disturb you too much. Don't forget, when you wake up in the morning, to turn that back off again. So switch the lock off again, like so. Switch that back off. And again, if you're not using the freezer, just switch the freezer mode off. If you just want the fridge, for example, then you don't need the freezer running, burning extra energy. As I said, with the control system, start at 3. See if that's cold enough for your perishables. If you want things a little bit more chilled, obviously increase. If you find it's too chilled, you can decrease it to your heart's content. And then when you don't need the fridge anymore, you can power the fridge down by holding the button here. Obviously, sort the screen lock out again. There we go. And when that's off there, the fridges will power down, and that is the refrigerator. At the very back of the van, with the rear doors opened, you'll notice this locker here with the gas sticker on it. This is where your gas bottle is located on board the vehicle. So it's a single bottle, and this bottle's primary job is to supply gas to the cooker. Now there is a crash safe system located up in the top corner here. There is a little black bitty here. If that is popped out, then the crash system has armed. Now you'll need to reset that. There's a little tool located here in the lower section, and on the tool there is a little bit just here. You just turn that in, you just turn that gently until the button locks back into place. Now sometimes that can fire if you've had rapid deceleration in the vehicle. It's designed to cut the supply of gas in the event of an accident. When you're traveling as well, obviously you've got the gas bottle valve on the top here. I would always recommend that you just switch things off, as it were, for traveling purposes, just to keep things safe. That's it, nice and secure. And that there is the gas bottle. So located in the lower cupboard next to the cooker, you are going to find your gas isolation valves just here, as it were. Now, as the van has diesel heating, it only needs one valve to be open, which is this one here at the very top, which is the oven. And it should be in the position as seen. That allows the gas to come up the pipe and then exit through into the cooker side. Now, to turn the tap off for travel, just give it a flick like so. That isolates the gas system for the cooker. I would recommend that you do this when you are traveling, just to keep things nice and safe. But if you need to use the cooker, just flick the switch like so. And that there will turn the gas system back on again. And that is your isolation taps. So for the hob, lift the cover up, and then to access the gas, you've got 3 rings on the front here, as it were. So obviously make sure the gas supply is on, make sure the isolator is on, and you turn the bottle on. So to enlighten the gas, you just turn the system on, press the igniter, hold it down, give it a couple of seconds on the ring here before letting go, and that will turn the hob on. And then you've got the other ones which turn the other ones on as well. Once you're done with the gas, turn it back to the 12 o'clock position on here. I would always recommend just having a quick listen to hear if you can hear any gas coming through. Nope, that is definitely switched off, as it were. Now, do bear in mind that when you've been cooking, not to close this down immediately. You want to let the rings go cold, give it a good 10 minutes after cooking, just to make sure it's nice and safe. There is a sticker here to remind you. And again, obviously for cleaning purposes, you can remove this section bit here. It does lift out of the grommets. Just be careful when lifting it off the grommets. Sometimes the grommets can come with the railing as well, and they are easy to lose. So just obviously be aware of that when you're taking this off for cleaning purposes. And then once you're ready for travel, you just close this back down again, and that there is the hot rings. So, oven and grill. Very, very straightforward. The oven and grill is controlled by this control device here on the end. The oven is turned to the left. The grill is turning to the right, as it were. So when you're using the oven and grill, you would just turn this to the direction you want to use it, hold the button in to act the igniter, and click the switch. When the gas ignites, you want to hold this in for a few more seconds just to allow the thermocouple to warm up so it can hold the gas light by itself. Once you're done, you just rotate this back to the 12 o'clock position, and that's sorted out. Exactly the same as the hob rings. I would recommend that you just let things cool down for a couple of minutes before fully closing the door, so you can let it vent like so. The door will stop at this position just here for venting purposes. So once you're satisfied everything's all cooled down enough, you can then completely close the oven and grill like so. So moving on to the microwave. Now do bear in mind that the microwave will only work when the vehicle is on 230 volt hookup. It will not work when you are off grid using your diesel or 12 volt system. So when you're hooked up, you will notice that this here will flash to let you know there is power to the microwave. The actual power cord is located in this cupboard here. So if it's not on, it might be disconnected there. So it's always worth checking if this microwave isn't switching on. And it's just a simple case of just pressing the power button, picking what power mode you want. There's lots of choices on here, and then you've got your timer mode down the bottom here, how fast you want it to go, and once you're ready you just press the start button and the microwave will action, and that is the microwave. So inside your washroom you're going to find your flush toilet. This is a very simple device to use. You open the lid, and before you use the toilet, don't forget you need to open the wee trap valve in here. Just pull this bit at the front like so. That will open the valve to allow waste to push through. Once you're done, then you just need to flush the toilet with a button here. Just give it a press and catch 3, and then that is the toilet flushed. Once you're finished, don't forget to push the shut valve back across again to close that flap. Obviously you may get some bad odours come back through from the toilet, and then that's it. Close the lid and you're all done. So at the back of the van, you'll find this access door just here. Behind this access door here is your Dometic cassette toilet. Now, very simple to take out. There's a green lever just here to allow it to release. Now, do make sure that you have closed the interior toilet flap before you try to take this out. If the unit won't release from here, it's most likely that the toilet flap is still open. That needs to be closed before this can come out. So to remove the unit, just pull the green lever up, give it a wee tug, and the whole unit will come out. The unit has a little trolley handle located here for transport of the wheels, and once you're ready to empty it, you just lift this part up, take the cap off like so, and then when you're ready to tip it out, use the handle, little pressure button just there, tip, press the button, drain the system out. Once you're ready, then put some fresh water in about this line just here, give it a wee swirl, flush it out. Recommend you do that twice, and then once you're ready, put some fresh water back into again to about this line here, add in your chemical or toilet cleaner pod. Now we strongly recommend that you use green chemical only. A lot of places in Scotland now will not accept blue chemical, so we recommend the green. The green chemical is much more friendly to the environment as well. So whatever it may be, your chosen liquid or pod goes in here, put the cap back on, make sure that's secure, push that back down again, and once you're ready, you just locate the unit back in and push it until it clicks. So give it a good push. There's the click. That means it's locked in place. I would recommend you just give it a little tug, just to make sure it is secured in place. That is your toilet cassette now ready for another use. So to make up the bed in your Constellation 3 is very, very simple. You're going to need a couple of things to start you off. You're going to need your support brace. You've got a secondary bolster cushion which you can fit on the end of here, and your support in fill. So first things first, you're best to start with the main bed section, which is very simple.
You have a lever down the front here which you pull and then slide the frame straight down. Do make sure you have undone the buckles to allow you to drop the bed. So pull the lever, slide the bed down, push the infill cushions like so. As I said, you can attach this secondary bolster just here to fill the gap in at the front if you want to. Next step, you need a support brace. That mounts into the back of the passenger seat frame with the little handles in the holes. Like so. And then you have another lever here which brings the single seat down. Slide that down. And push the support cushion in. And then last but not least, your infill goes in there. And that there is your bed.
So, located under the main bench seat on the driver's side, you are going to find your boiler system, like so, just here. Now, as part of your drain downs for winter use or for layup, you will need to drain the boiler. Now, there is a little switch hiding just down here with a yellow top. There it is. That there is the water flow in the closed position. If you lift that up, you'll hear the water drain, and that's water now draining out of the boiler. And then once you're finished, you can either leave that open, or if you still need the water, just flip it down. If you're leaving the van in winter mode, I would suggest you leave the valve up, just allow any moisture just to drain through. That's really important. If you are winterizing the van, you do need to drain the boiler itself. Now, there is, for winter use, there is a tank heater which you can access the control switch just above the sliding door, which I'll show you in a later segment of this video. So just inside the vehicle below the single travel seat, you will find this switch located here. This switch activates the electric step. Very simple to use. Press the down part here to extend the step, and then to retract the step, it's the top part of the button, like so. Now, I would recommend that when you have been using the step, especially if you've been on a campsite which is maybe near the beach or near the woods, that before you retract the step for traveling, that you just give it a little sweep to take any debris off the step, just avoid them going into the runners. It's good maintenance practices for your electric step. So, located down the driver's side of the vehicle, you will find the freshwater fill for your vehicle. It's a simple case of just opening the flap, use the key to unlock it, turn and twist like a fuel filler, insert your water line into here, and then insert water through the hose. Now, there is a gauge on the inside of the van, obviously, to let you know how full the fresh tank is getting, but a simple indicator is that if we fill in the water here and the water starts pouring out, that lets you know that the tank is filled. Retract your hose, put your cap back on, don't forget to lock it, and then once you're done, close the cap like so, and that's your freshwater fill. So down the driver's side of the van, you will find the wastewater tap and the freshwater tap. Very simple. You just turn the taps to the open position to drain wastewater, and to drain the freshwater, again, turn the tap to drain the freshwater. Once you're done, don't forget to shut the taps off, or if you are winterizing your vehicle, leave this tap open, just allow any excess water to slosh out. And that is your waste taps. To the interior of your vehicle, so just a quick run around the dashboard and primary controls. So on the dashboard you have the rev counter, speedometer, and then on the opposite side here you will have the fuel gauge. You'll have auxiliary information for time, date, range, trip computer, and up in the top corner here is the indicator for the automatic gearbox on this particular vehicle. The driving controls on this side here are the light controls. Just rotate the stalk to turn the lights on, push it away from you to turn the beam, and back to turn the beam back off again. When the lights are off, this will act as a beam flasher for grabbing attention, and then indicators are up and down like so. On the opposite side, we have the wiper controls. So they are on this selector just here. So towards you to wash wipe, up for a single swipe, and then to turn the wipers on, you have low speed in a minute, high speed in a minute, low speed, high speed wiper, and then all the way back round to the 0 to switch the wipers off. On the steering, you have the horn located on the center next to the logo. Then the control buttons just here. These allow you to access the center display system here. This lets you just get various different pieces of information, different types of display, from navigation to radio to trip information like so. And then each menu has a separate section in which you can move up and down, and then selection with the OK side of things. On the opposite side, you have the cruise control system located here with the speed limiter. To turn the cruise control on, press this button here. The cruise control is now ready and armed. Bear in mind that cruise control will only operate when you're in 4th gear or higher, and when you're traveling about 40 miles an hour or higher. When you're ready to set the speed, you set it with the control function here on the set, and then while you're in motion, you can slow or speed up the cruise control system as needed. If you need to pause it, it's the button just here, and if you need to turn it off, it's this one just here, or you can turn it off with this button there. Incidentally, the cruise control will switch off as soon as you touch the brake pedal. The other control function here is the limiter. This allows you to turn on a top speed for the vehicle. So when the limiter is on, you use the set and plus minus buttons to increase or decrease the speed as you need to for driving, and that will set the limiter, and then you push the button again to turn the limiter off. Now, over on the gearbox side of things, you have the automatic gearbox. So it's a straight up and down gearbox. So when your foot is on the brake, just use the release lever here to slide the gearbox to the different modes that you need to operate. When you're in D, if you move the gearbox to the side, you will then get a sequential mode for the gearbox, which allows you to change gears as and when you need to. Slide it back across to put the vehicle back into drive, and then back up to park mode. Little button just here changes the power mode for the vehicle. So you have a power mode, performance if you like, an economy mode, or normal driving mode. I would recommend you experiment with the 3 and pick which one you prefer when you're driving. So into the center, I'm not going to spend too much time on the media device just here, as it were. There's a lot to cover on that, as it were, and it would make this section of the video really long. But in essence, you have a home function just here, which brings up a standard set of screens. Music, air conditioning controls is on this one. So you can set the control functions just here, or you can use the control panel down here. Navigation system. Connections to mobile phones. This allows you to pair a mobile, and you can also connect a mobile through Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and then vehicle functions are on this end one just here. So you can access some control settings up the top here to change the way the vehicle display behaves. And then you have an apps function at the back here to access certain apps on board, like I said, like the Android Auto, things like that, as it were. So air conditioning system. On here, it's a climate control system. So you set the temperature like so. You can change the fan position if you don't want an automatic mode. So this just here changes the fan position like so. AC on or off, circulator, fan speed is over here, like so. You have a demist function and a cooling function for the AC, and then an off switch there to turn the air conditioning system off. Now, I would recommend that you run the air conditioning in the vehicle when you're driving. Air conditioning is a kinetic gas. It's good to keep the gas circulating in the system, and by running the gadgets all the time, it just helps save off any potential problems down the line with the air conditioning not being functional properly. A wee caveat with that is if you are driving late at night and a little bit tired, the air conditioning can make you tired faster, so you might want to maybe switch it off. And likewise, if you have a passenger that's maybe quite sensitive to hay fever allergies, the air conditioning system can sometimes aggravate that a little bit as well, so you might want to switch it off just then. So down here, you have a rear window button. Now, it doesn't actually do anything because there is no heated element of the rear windows, so the button's just there as part of the dashboard. Hazard warning light. This here is the volume control for the stereo, so if you push the button in the middle here, it will mute the radio, or quick tap it again, puts the radio on. Central lock-in, and then you have this button, which is a traction control mode and hill descent mode. And finally, this warning light here is to let you know if the airbag is switched off at the passenger side. So with regards to the traction system, when you press the button, you will get a message come up saying Traction Plus connected. This is just a traction control system to allow the vehicle to maneuver in slightly tougher conditions. And likewise, the hill descent mode, this allows the vehicle to crawl down a slightly steep gradient. These are covered in more detail in your owner's handbook, which I would recommend that you review when you're ready to experiment with these items. And that there is a wee run round of the major driver controls. So lastly, on the door, we have some auxiliary control functions. So we have the electric mirror switches here. So you just move this to the mirror that you want to adjust, so high or low mirror, and likewise on the driver's side, high and low mirror. And then you use a little joystick to maneuver the mirror whichever way you need to manipulate it to give you a better view. Don't forget to lock that back at 12 o'clock. So if you accidentally catch this, it doesn't actually move the mirrors about. You have then got a control function here to fold the mirrors in. So if you're parking up, you want to tuck the mirrors in just to stop people brushing past. You've got that control switch there to do that for you. You then have the window switches. So the window switches just go up and down for the windows. So want the window down, press the window switch down. Want the window to go up, pull the switch up. There are one touch modes. So if you give it a firm push, it will go all the way down by itself, and a firm pull up will bring the window all the way up in one motion. Rear control locking for the vehicle. So if you want to keep the doors at the front open, but you want to lock the rear doors, then this control function here. Likewise, if you want to unlock the system, you can use this to unlock and that as well. Lastly, down here is the handbrake. Now, the handbrake on this is very straightforward. It's foot on the brake, and you just articulate the button to deactivate or engage the handbrake. When the button is lit here, there's a little light there. You'll also see the handbrake light located here on the dashboard to let you know when the handbrake is engaged. And there you are. That is the interior controls for the WildAx Constellation 3. So down the driver's side of the van, you'll find the electrical hookup point for the WildAx. So you need to open the flap, take your plug, and just insert it nice and snug into the van to provide power. Now, top tip for when it comes to plug-in vans is you want to avoid traveling with a live cable. So the first thing to do when you arrive at a campsite and you want to hook up is plug the van in first, and then take the other end of the cable and then go and plug it into your power outlet. When you're at the power outlet, do take a moment to check that the trip switches are working correctly, and once you're satisfied, then you can turn the power source on and provide power to your van. Now, another top tip is obviously from time to time is to inspect your cable, make sure it's free from any nicks or tears. Check the ends here as well to make sure the cable is secure, and also do take time to have a look at the points, make sure everything is as it should be. If there's any kind of defect to your cable, then I would strongly recommend that you look at replacing your cable. So when it comes to disconnecting your van, again, you want to take the practice of make sure you don't travel with a live cable. So what you would do is you would disconnect your van from the power source at the campsite first. You would disconnect that and then disconnect the van secondly. Obviously, when you are plugged in, do make sure that your cable is not curled up in a wee bundle. Make sure the cable is all out and open, so it just avoids any heat expansion on the cable. And that is the electric hookup on the WildAx. So access under the bonnet can be found on the passenger side by opening the door. We leave it here on the end of the dashboard, give it a little pull, and that will open the bonnet for you. So coming around to the front, the bonnet safety latch is easy to find. If you position your hand by the logo here, run your hand under the edge, your fingers will find the yellow safety latch to open the bonnet itself. Bonnet stay would be located here, and it mounts to a high point here in the big hole. Slide it across to lock it into the small hole just here, just to make sure the bonnet is secure. Screen wash fill is located with this blue cover just here. You have coolant on the orange tank, brake fluid reservoir, and then you have the oil fill reservoir just here. There is an indicator on the dash system, so the van will do its own check, but if you want to manually check it, there is a dipstick
just tucked just under this shut panel just here. Now, what can happen with vans is if they are laid up for a period of time, the batteries may discharge. It does happen. So if you need to boost the van again, there is a couple of connection points for you. This point just here is the negative or earthing point, and tucked just down here under this little flap, you'll find the positive point for boost starting your vehicle. And that is under the bonnet of your WildAx. So that was a Handover video for the WildAx Constellation 3. I hope you found it useful. As I said, do download this to your device, maybe bookmark it for future reference. And all that left for me to say is I wish you many happy miles adventuring in your new van. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.